Hey, it's Chris Bowling.
Hey, it's Chris Fire.
Man, we are honored today to have HR Workplace on In Focus with Chris and Chris. 10 years ago, I can't believe it's been 10 years ago, we were getting flooded by HR questions and we were outside of our lane. We did a big RFP and we looked at numerous companies, and HR Workplace was a clear front runner. And so we want to celebrate, number one, having 10-year relationship with you guys, and we are honored to have Adam and John on. So Chris, take it away.
Yeah, so thank you guys. We certainly know you're working with a lot of our clients on questions that come in, HR related, compliance related, but let's talk a little bit about who you are and your background in the HR space right now.
Well, I'm Adam Kulliver. I am the Executive Vice President over here at HR Workplace Services. I am a traditional insurance nerd, grew up in the insurance world, worked for a bunch of different carriers, was a broker myself for a while, did a little bit of consulting, and been around since day one when we hatched this idea back in 2009.
Wow. Very good. And John?
Yeah, guys, I'm John Dale. I'm the president and CEO of HR Workplace Services. I am not an insurance nerd. When we started HR Workplace Services, I didn't even know how to use my own health insurance. But I had a deep operating background and had been dealing with this type of stuff for a really long time, and I was very fortunate in that Mark Rambo, who you guys know, is also a partner here, and Adam had gotten together and had the idea. And so that's how I ended up here at HR Workplace Services.
Well, brilliant.
So, I mean, it's a lot in the name, but what do you guys do? I mean, when you look at the scope of services you're providing to employers, you know, how have you structured that uniqueness for HR Workplace Services?
Well, I think we go back to the beginning. So if you think about corporate America, small businesses, and everything in between, there's a big gap when it comes to folks that are working in the HR space, whether they be a HR professional or a generalist or legal counsel. And there's a couple common threads. One is that they're all overworked.
Yes.
You're not going to find anyone that's got spare time in their day. And the other is that you have a lot of people out there that are in an HR role, but they're not HR professionals. So maybe I'm the controller and I'm handling HR, or maybe I'm the office manager and handling HR. So from day one, we saw it as our role to step in and assist those folks, take some work off their desk, make their lives a little bit easier, help them when they've got problems or issues or questions, do some research, and be able to deliver that through our broker partners like yourselves.
Yeah. Well, you think about how that role's changed, Adam, right? I mean, no one is going through getting their degree in HR and learning about the Affordable Care Act, learning about all the consistent changing laws that we are dealing with every day that somehow is still hitting HR's desk, right? It's either hitting HR's desk or CFO's desk, or it hits us four. All four of us are dealing with this stuff. So how has your company changed from that model to what you're doing today? Because you're doing way more than just HR support.
It is. John, you want to take that one?
I'm sorry. Did you say something? I'm sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, I was referring to you on that one.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Yeah, Chris, exactly right. When we started, it was literally what our vision of what this was going to be was not even close to where we're at today.
Yeah.
I would say that the knowledge was there, but it's not at all. The size of the groups is completely different. It's like Adam has said, right? The spectrum is huge. It's from 3 lives to 200,000 and everything in between. And managing the expectation for all those groups and those different size groups. And so it started, we thought it would be very, very what I think the average person would say they would think an HR question was, to full scope compliance for ERISA, ACA, right? Having to figure out how to manage the volume of information that was coming in and out of our shop when COVID hit. We had, and I know you guys know this, right? So, I mean, it was to the point where we had these newer HR folks in these roles at these companies who were coming along, and all of a sudden we're hit with, do I furlough these people? Do I lay them off? How do I manage benefits? Like all those types of things that it gets pretty deep and some big issues can happen really fast. And so that's and now even into plan design and structuring those things and trying to keep everybody on the same page.
You guys,
I think we
definitely morphed over the years.
You saved our tail through COVID. I mean, I didn't even know what the heck a furlough was. It's like, wait a minute, what's a furlough? And does that mean they get benefits or? You guys, I mean, I can't say this enough. You save us every day, but through COVID, I truly don't know how we could have managed COVID and the change of COVID and the pace of all the new laws without you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen, in the last probably 18 months, so many of our HR directors, HR professionals take new opportunities. So, I mean, that space, not only are they overworked and they're understaffed for organizations, but everybody's new in their role. It feels like, we've seen somebody go from one client to the other and one client back to the other. And, it's just like we're swapping talent in the workspace, but that's still, now they're having to get up to speed with that company's operation and the change that is there. What do you guys see this year in 2023 as far as trends that are impacting employers, that maybe is on the horizon or already in place? Because there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start that one off. So interesting, coming out of COVID, we started to track and for the first time really paid attention to, I think as everyone else did, that it wasn't just the federal government and it wasn't just the state governments that were putting out mandates and ordinances. We're now down to counties and municipalities that are all putting out their own legislations, and they haven't stopped. So from our seat, it's tracking all of those and then communicating it back to you as our brokers, and then communicating that to your clients about the rules and regulations. And it hasn't eased up. I mean, the rules and regulations comes fast and furious. We've just had some new things come out from the National Labor Relations Board as far as severance packages, and we're looking at that and how does that affect our clients?
Right.
And there's questions on that. And of course, the feds don't do us any favors because they write everything in a broad format and leave it up to interpretation, and basically drop these huge legislative bombs on us or rulings on us, and then we've got to react to it. So it keeps us on our toes, but really that's been the big change, is staying in front of the legislations that comes out, the rules and the regulations, and then making sure companies understand what their requirements are.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the legislative updates that would come out pre-COVID. It was like maybe we would get 15 states that had something focused, and then through COVID, it was every state with multiple cities and counties. I mean, the list of regulations just went crazy, and I still see a lot of that as it comes through. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
so you're keeping up to speed with all of that. Go ahead, John. You were going to say.
No, sorry. I was going to say, I think one thing that I would add to that for 23 also is that we're seeing a lot of the tail end of 22 and coming into 23 is level and self-funding.
Yeah.
And everybody seems to be kind of heading that direction, but there's it's tough because there's a tremendous lack of knowledge about exactly what is it, what's required, and where's the risk, and what are the advantages.
Right.
Adam and I, we spend a lot of time talking to our clients about that. And helping account managers who maybe don't have a lot of level or self-funding in their books. And then what am I doing from a compliance standpoint on top of just the mechanics of it, because there's some requirements there. I mean, we had one yesterday where literally the payroll company didn't know when they filed the ACA reporting for the group that because they were level funded, even though they only had 30 employees, they had to file B forms for the ACA with the IRS. So and then the good part about that is because of the model that we have and that we operate under, where we're very hands-on and very interactive, we're able to have those conversations, and it hopefully makes its way across the office, and then generates some other interest in those topics, so that when they run into them, at least we're up to speed in that office.
That's a great point, and thank you for sharing that. Is that you're not just making a funding decision, right? There's so much more into this than how am I paying my bill? Am I paying the claims? Am I paying a premium? Am I paying a little bit of both? Right? Because we get into a lot of HRAs and partial self-funding,
right?
Which also brings
all
up
different requirements.
It's not just the funding decision. It's what have I done to you by changing this funding decision? Because now you have X amount of more regulations that are going to be put upon you. I love that you mentioned that. That's great.
Well, Adam and John, we appreciate you guys joining us this morning in Focus. I know there's a lot more topics we could certainly go through, but it's good to know your background and how you're able to support us and our clients. We appreciate you guys
Thank you
joining
both.
today.
Yeah, guys. Thank you. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure.
For having us.